Mr. Beacon podcast is sponsored by Wiliot, scaling IoT with battery-free Bluetooth.
Welcome to the Mr. Beacon podcast. This week we're going to be talking about digital to physical convergence, how you can have a visual view of the world around you that can tap into the digital information that is being captured with the Bluetooth technology that so many of us are using now. And to talk about all of this, I have two gentlemen all the way over in Norway from ID Tag. Gentlemen, would you like to introduce yourselves on the show?
I can start. I don't have a Norwegian accent because I'm Australian. So I'm Australian with the surname of Holland, and I live in Lillehammer, Norway. So my name's Michael Holland.
Very good. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
My name is Geir Øvland. I'm CTO of ID Tag, and I live in Drammen in Norway, a city pretty close to Oslo, capital.
Fantastic. And how are you guys? Before we get into the business side of things, what's happening COVID pandemic-wise in your part of the world this week?
I'm pretty happy, at least, because I have too many kids and I've been having them all at home for a long time. This week we opened up kindergartens, and next week the lower grade schools are opening. So it's getting better and getting more and more work to do. Finally.
That's wonderful. Well, let's talk about ID Tag, and I'm very interested in what you guys have been working on. What is it?
It's your introduction was interesting, and it was correct. Effectively, what we're doing is we are embedding location data and real-time data within each image frame of either a photo or a video. So why is that relevant? In the world of IoT, image recognition isn't necessarily going to be ideal if you're trying to go around corners or if you're trying to locate things that are hidden, or if your image quality is not good, dark, foggy, whatever. So being able to locate sensors, but also capture data off those sensors in real time is going to be extremely valuable moving forward. And you can think of a number of different applications from the industrial side right through to all the rumors about glasses that are coming with augmented reality and image overlays.
So, what does one of those applications look like, say, in a retail context? What would this technology do?
There's a number of different ways you could apply it in a retail context, but roughly, if you were to be able to capture data on your phone as you're walking through a store, there's a number of big box retailers, for example, that we all know and love, where you wouldn't necessarily have to pick up things as you're going through the store, because you can identify the data on your device and say, I'll have one of those, and then pick it up as you exit. But also get all the added product information and extra information that you're not getting from store clerks in one of those big box stores, because we all know that they're fairly devoid of help. Also having location information, so if you are after a specific item, you can be taken straight there. Again, from the business side of things, also...
Just before we move on to the business side,
yep.
So... what you've described includes kind of your phone is sensing the digital information that can be coming from Bluetooth beacons. But I think what you're describing is a visual user interface where that information is actually correlated to what you see on the camera of the phone as you pointed at the person or the thing that's got the digital ID. Is that the essence of it?
Exactly. And before Bluetooth 5.1, we'd actually worked out how to do this. And so, you have a digital overlay on your phone, which actually will very accurately locate that item.
So basically what we do is we measure the angle that the signal is coming from, and we correlate that to the image that you have in front of you. Of course, we would love to see this inside the phones, but at the moment there are not the technology available at the phones. But we are working at the moment with other sensors to bring this type of information together. I mean, an image and the angle that the tag's information is actually arriving, and putting that on top of each other to make the digital and enhanced image with all the information on it.
So fast forward, you have angle of arrival, a Bluetooth angle of arrival integrated with the phone, and you have a whole set of applications which could include social media and shopping apps and industrial applications, where you are not tapping on text, you're actually tapping on the thing that you're interested in, and you're getting a whole lot of digital information about it. And I mean, I think it's a great concept, because it's sort of similar to the physical web in that this idea of typing in, scanning QR codes, all that manual intervention is kind of archaic, where we have this amazing device that A, can read the Bluetooth beacon data, and B, can help you associate the tag with the thing. Now, where have you got to in this stage? So it's a concept, and my understanding is you've patented it, but you've done more than that. You've been doing some POCs. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. We patented it years ago, and as the years went, the technology got more and more mature. And last year, with the introduction of Bluetooth 5.1, a lot of things has been happening really quickly. So at the moment, we are on a proof of concept that we have. We made years ago a proof of concept, but at the moment we are making the first prototype of a working sensor with all of this integrated that we will be utilizing on several use cases next few months and the rest of the year. That's,
so I think people that go to your website, and for people that are watching this show rather than listening to it, will get those videos, and so that they can overlay and give people more of a sense of this. But your first proof of concept, it looked like you basically had a tablet and you had some angle of arrival receivers, like kind of ears either side of the tablet, and then you were able to point the camera at people, and there would be an overlay of a cue that you could tap on. And was that, what technology, was that using the Cooper technology or some other angle of arrival technology?
Actually, those proof of concept, which were those made in 2015 or so, were using regular Bluetooth devices. And what we were out for was deciding if a tag was inside the picture or not, which you can see on those movies. But currently the technology now is able to actually point you to where on the picture the tag is, which is essential for being able to interact and knowing what you are interacting to.
Okay.
So at the moment we're developing this prototype. We are cooperating with Cooper for that.
Okay, your neighbors down in Finland.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's kind of the latest stage to help bring life to the idea. But am I right in saying that really to realize the idea, you need the phone manufacturers to come on board to adopt it? Is that correct?
Definitely, to see the full potential of this concept, really want it down onto the phones. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We leverage a whole lot of opportunities for the technology.
Is there anything that you can do absent of a Google or an Apple or a Samsung jumping on board this, or is that the key factor for you?
We are actually, the prototype is a sleeve effectively that's going on the back of a tablet. So it's been miniaturized significantly from the version you see in those original videos. As Guy said, they're coming up to 4 years old now. So there will be some added videos that will be coming in the next couple of months that will showcase that. There is an option to potentially design and build that in the form of a sleeve to go on the back of a unit. But ideally, of course, we would access the hardware of the phone or device. And so really it's we'd be looking to some of the big players to see what we're doing and then jump on board.
I mean, I think of this as visual physical web. The physical web was opening up access to the digital world in a very accessible way. And in my mind, you're just sort of taking that to the next stage. Not that these tags have to be sending a URL, but I think a combination of that technology would be amazing. So it's a great idea. Let's spend a bit more time before we wrap this up. Let's spend a bit more time on the different applications. So Michael, you were talking about the retail experience where you point the phone at the product and then just tap your phone and that's in store, and that can enable kind of new checkout experiences, getting more information than you would do from a less than knowledgeable store associate. Not that some store associates are great, but the reality is it's a tough job. So what about outside of the store, and what does the social media instantiation of this concept look like?
There's a whole bunch of interesting things you could do. With the social media aspect, of course, you've got in Europe we've got GDPR, and there's the privacy considerations that need to be taken into account. And we've really, I guess, focused more on the more direct business applications. But social media, if you think that if you're buying most clothing these days, or certainly a lot of clothing is coming with RFID tags. But if you also think that, or UHF tags, if you think that also everyone's phone is potentially a beacon as well. So there are very interesting applications. And to give you a simple one, I guess, is if you're at a conference, I don't necessarily want to have my face on a facial recognition system within the conference organisers, but I'm happy to give up my phone number and allow access to my phone as a beacon for a period of time. So you're looking around trying to identify people. That's a great way to do it. So that would be a simple social setting. There's lots of other fun applications that you could think of at parties and bars and different things as well, if people want to enable their phones for different reasons, or if you want to meet people. There is a number of social scenarios, and I think that these social scenarios could be very interesting for certain ecosystems. One that we did play with was looked at was from a gaming point of view. So enabling live gaming on the streets effectively, which is something that our friends at Pokemon have tried to do. But if I could turn you into an avatar, for example, or you could take on an avatar, and I could identify you on the street, then that opens up all sorts of applications around gaming against each other, and you could spend hours talking about the different applications you could use in live gaming in that sense as well. So that's a great social example, I think.
Yeah, and to me, I see there's plenty of people who are very happy to waive privacy concerns because they're basically using their lifestyle and their life as a clothes horse to sell other people's products. My next door neighbor has got 50,000 followers and gets a whole bunch of free stuff, and she makes videos and gets paid for them. And this is kind of the entry level. There's obviously people with millions of followers who could have tags in their clothing, and you could basically buy from seeing them in the street or at a party, and a lot of interesting business models there.
Yeah, exactly. And so as if you were to take a future view of that and think that she could order over the web, a packet of tags, and she wanted to tag up her own clothing, and she could make her own labels and things, Absolutely. That is definitely a scenario where if she was holding an event, for example, everybody attending that event, and I've been to some of these vloggers and influencer events with my kids, and it's they're massive. And so if that person is kitted out and everyone can hold up their phones and identify what they're wearing and buy it there and then, absolutely doable.
Yeah, and everybody is like marketing on the wall anyway. They have these brands logos all over yourself, so it could be a very interesting application.
Most importantly, as long as you have an opt-out ability with that, I think that's the most important aspect of it.
What about the industrial applications?
We are working with several of them, and they tend to be easier to access because sometimes at least we can keep them closed loop. So one of them, of course, what we are looking into is broadcasting or sports events, where you tend to have at least in several events before all the events got closed down. You have these companies living out of taking pictures of you as you are running or you are skiing or whatever you are doing, and that's an example of where you can benefit from having that videos personalized. So that's a sector where we are working, where your video is actually personalized based on that you are tagged, and if you're in a crowd, it's pretty convenient to have your name on top of your head in that crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve, this is a massive opportunity. I gave a speech to some organisers at the Youth Olympics when they were here, Winter Olympics, a couple of years ago. And my pitch to them, and I'm quite happy to debate this with a lot of the big sports organisations. That effectively, I worked in broadcast historically, and I packaged media and sold big sports packages. And the 30-second television commercial is dead. It's not dead, but it's on the ground. It's waiting for the last rides, basically. So there's a massive income stream there that needs to get replaced. And I'm not saying that this is the be-all and end-all, but this is one thing that could be added to that revenue stream. So all of the broadcasters are looking at opportunities. I've had discussions with a number of them, and this is certainly something that is interesting for them in thinking of the future and in being able to do digital overlays with either from a sports point of view, or if you think of your favourite home improvement show and being able to tag all the items in the show. There are similar things out there now, but they are time-consuming and expensive. So we believe that this is, certainly in broadcast, is a really interesting opportunity.
Well, it's a good fit for your proof of concept as well, because you can have something that's a large, maybe slightly more expensive setup that can be used in that context, and then miniaturized for mass consumption.
Yeah.
Well, very good. I think this is a brilliant idea. Any last things you want to cover before we wrap this up? I do hope that this gets traction, because I think the visual physical web has so many applications. Is going to make this digital passport, this digital twin that we have, something that people can use more readily.
Yeah. Two things I'd like to add. One is that whilst Bluetooth 5.1 has helped accelerate what we're doing, we're not limited by Bluetooth as far as being able to locate devices. And so I learned a wonderful term from ABB not long ago where they're talking about massive 5G. And I'd never heard this term before, but essentially their definition of massive 5G is over 1 million sensors within a 1 kilometre radius of in a populated city. So we've got that type of density coming up. So that's where this technology is going to be really interesting. The other point I'd like to make is that part of our IP, which we have patented, is actually overlaying that data onto an image. So as soon as you take the sensor data and overlay it onto an image, our patents cover that. So that's also adds a lot of value to what we're doing moving forward. So that's also a really interesting point in in what we're talking to a lot of these companies about.
Very good. Well, I hope this conversation inspires some people to move forward and take action around this, because I think it can be very beneficial. Gentlemen, thanks very much for spending time with us, and hope things continue to improve over there in Norway. That's great to hear that you're starting to open up again.
Yeah, well, the sun's shining and it's looking good.
Very good.
So far, thank you very much for having us.
But we do have this tradition in the podcast, which is you have to come up with 3 songs that you would take on a trip to Mars. So I guess between the two of you, there's 6 songs. So who wants to go first?
I would bring a U2 song, at least, one called One, because if I were going to Mars, I think it would be a one-time experience. And I would also bring a killer song called Human, just in case I meet anybody there, I can use that as an introduction. I'm not sure about the third song, so I'll let Michael jump in.
Okay,
jump in now.
Michael, you get a bonus song. You get a 4 now.
Well, this is a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting this, so we actually had a fun night last night on music. So I had a friend over who's a musician. So we were playing the Cruel Sea, if you know who they are. So I'm showing my age a bit here. They had a song called The Honeymoon Is Over, but the whole album is called Three-Legged Dog, and it's just got a fantastic groove through the whole album. So.
And you play yourself, or does someone else in your house play the guitar, or is that just a beautiful ornament?
A hidden secret of my background is that I went straight out of school to be a DJ in radio, but I'm not musically. The guitar behind me is not mine; that's my daughter's actually.
Okay.
But my daughter just got accepted today into music school, so that's exciting for us.
Fantastic.
So she's the musician, but I know music well.
Okay. Well, the same as me. So I almost ended up being a DJ on the radio, only I didn't have the talent to do it. But I ran the college radio station and did a bunch of shows. And stuff.
You seem to have a record player in the background too. Like,
I do.
The old school type.
Exactly. I am partial to the long playing record. Okay, Michael. Well, that was one. So do you have any more that you want to take with you?
Oh, so I'd have to, let me see, I could mine some of the classics. You could pick, actually, Stevie Ray Vaughan, The Sky's Crying. There you go.
Is that just a good record, or does it conjure up memories of a specific time for you?
No, it's just a great track. It's just a great track. And then for complete contrast, you could put Bocelli's Goodbye.
Okay, very good, very diverse. Thanks for that. Thanks for indulging in that little tradition that we have.